Hey everybody, thanks again for joining us tonight. Welcome to our College and Career Readiness at KIPP DC Q&A or panel. Let's introduce who's here. First, I'll begin with myself. And my name is Thomas Epps. I proudly serve KIPP DC as the Associate Director of Student Recruitment. And one thing I enjoy about sort of helping students in their transition to transition after high school is, of course, seeing them grow and seeing them grow in that space. And we have our leaders here tonight who will share more about themselves and, of course, what they enjoy. So, Julia, you're first on.
Hi, all. Thanks, Thomas, for having us. And thank you so much to our families who are able to join. I hope we can answer your questions. My name is Julia Helmick. I have been at KIPP for a number of years now. I worked at one of our high schools as a counselor. I supported KIPP Middle School alumni, and most recently, I actually serve as the managing director of KIPP Forward. And in this role, I support and lead all of our college and career programs and our alumni program here at KIPP DC. And I am just super excited to be here with you and some members of the team. And the thing that I love the most about students transition after high school, I would say we have the benefit of seeing students become adults and become full professional adults. And so I think that seeing dreams become reality is my favorite thing. That college graduation photo that we get sent, that first professional job, it's a really nice to see that. I'll turn it to Delaney.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Delaney Hennett. I am the Director of College and Career Counseling at KIPP DC College Prep, one of our high schools. And what I enjoy most about the transition is witnessing our students who then turn to alumni, paying it forward. So our alumni love to come back to our schools, and they love to come back into our classrooms to pour their wisdom and their positive experiences back into our younger classes. And so really like making that legacy and leaving that legacy, but also coming back and paying it forward, doing their community service hours, and really having an influence even long after they graduate on the current students at our high schools. So that's my favorite thing. Imani?
Hello, families. Good evening. I'm Imani Josie. I'm the Director of College and Career Counseling over at Legacy College Prep, our other high school. I think the thing that I most enjoy, not just in the transitional piece, but I always quote, be who you needed when you were younger. And I love paying it forward to our students. And I love, like the lady just said, our students also paying it forward. I think it's just an exciting time for our kids. And when that light bulb goes off for them about what they want to do with their futures and they're excited about their futures, it gets me excited as well, too. And I know it gets the entire team excited. So we're happy to have you here, and we hope we could answer all of your questions.
Tonight's event is about getting your questions answered. I'm glad I have my colleagues here with me, and especially about our high school, college, and career programs. We have two great high schools at KIPP DC. Both are committed to your child leading choice-filled lives. So we're going to talk through how we think through college and career support, and then open it up to you. And we know that picking a high school is a big decision, and most of you all want to get your questions answered.
Awesome. So one of the big things that we always talk about, even starting right in 9th grade, is strong academics. We always tell students that you want to make sure that you are being academically rigorous in your course selection. And we have many different course offerings here and across both high schools, from honors to AP courses as well as dual enrollment and all these different things. With strong academics, our teachers and our support staff are super invested in students and their futures. So we make sure that our curriculum is relevant, and we have a lot of different history classes that talk about like current events that are happening. We prioritize choices in learning, so students get to see their transcripts and families get to help make those choices when it comes to like picking honors courses, picking AP courses, and how is that going to help them in their future endeavors when they think about their post-secondary pathways. We definitely focus on like independent and group work that happens across all curriculums, from science and our humanities classes to our STEM classes as well. We also help students prepare for major assessments, including AP exams and SAT prep as well, too. And then we also have frequent opportunities. Many of our teachers have office hours. I'm still at school right now. There's actually a basketball game going on. There's a lot of teachers that are still here, and students are literally in the bleachers right now as I'm speaking, like talking to their teachers about different assignments they need to complete as well too. So we try to be as hands-on as possible with our students and definitely assisting families as well with the academic rigor.
And we also understand, on top of academics, we want our students to be as well-rounded as possible. When you're thinking about your college and career readiness, it's not just about what's inside the classroom, even though it's extremely important. It's also about what you're doing outside of the classroom. So at both of our high schools and throughout our experience, there's a lot of different ways for your child to enrich their experience outside of the classroom. So we have a plethora of sports, both JV and varsity athletics, clubs throughout both of our high schools that specifically match our students' interests. And if there's not a club there that matches their interests, they are more than welcome and even encouraged to start their own and really build that interest out for the sake of themselves and their peers. Performing arts, we have a very robust performing arts department, whether that be dance, choir, musical theater, or all of the above. And then we also have a lot of internships and career programs and opportunities. So our students can get involved in and apply to a lot of internships, summer programs, and also have those extracurricular experiences outside of their time in high school. So that could be over the summer. It could be if they reach senior year. I know it's far off, but reaching senior year, they could leave early to go to their internships. It could be paid. They could be a part of the NAF Academy of either finance or IT, or really anything outside of that space to really enrich their overall high school experience and develop them as a person, not just a scholar. Because when we get to that final stage and we're trying to figure out like what's best and what's the next step, all of these things, both academics and extracurriculars, will play a really important role.
Awesome. So when we think about college and career counseling, I think a lot of times people think, oh, like junior year is the most important year, but we actually want to really start in freshman and sophomore year. I always talk to students about strong academics and having a very strong GPA. That cumulative GPA follows you all the way through high school. So we want to like start off on a really strong footing to make your junior, senior year as easy as possible if we can. So during freshman and sophomore year, we have academic deans and advisors that support our students. And then during your sophomore year, you definitely have summer opportunities with college partners, internships, and all those different things. We also partner with OSSE, where we have summer opportunities for our students that actually go visit a college campus and spend the summer on a college campus. This past year at Legacy, we had about 5 students go away to different schools, including Duke and Syracuse, where they got to actually engage with other students across the country and got to really learn about different careers that they're interested or different majors they want to major in. So when we think about freshman and sophomore year, this is like the stepping stone and like the solid building block we want students to have. So when you get to your junior and senior year, it's a little smoother. And I'll pass it over to Ms. Delaney.
Yes, so all of that building, that foundation leads first to junior year. And I always say junior year is that prep year. So we're starting with junior college and career night, where we're introducing what that process looks like specifically, because all of those things you're prepping for and you're dreaming about, you're about to start putting in the work and executing and seeing your work come into fruition. And so junior college and career night comes around. We actually just had ours last night, and where we got to speak to families about what it is to apply to college, apply to career and certification programs, apply to scholarships, financial aid, and just the road ahead that our current juniors are about to start as they embark on their journey for the next year and a half. We also have junior seminar. So that is a college prep seminar course where our students have hands-on experience and a dedicated teacher to help them navigate this preparation as they're thinking about what do they want to do after high school and how do I get there. So we have targeted college tours and also spring match meetings. So we actually start meeting, our counselors start meeting with our juniors starting the spring semester of their junior year. So we don't get to them in their senior year when they already have their applications. All of that prep, all that work actually starts in spring semester, and we are there in the spring to start helping them. So I always tell my juniors, you have me for the next year and a half, from the time you're a spring semester junior up until the time that you graduate. And that really helps build those relationships and lead into senior year pretty seamlessly, where all of this work, freshman, sophomore, and junior year, we are hitting the ground running and we're actually executing all the things that we worked on. So we're applying to colleges, applying to scholarships, applying to certification programs. We are doing financial aid, like I mentioned, scholarships, essays, all of the things that you need in order to be prepared and receive those decisions that you'll be making a decision on in the spring of your senior year. So we also have a senior seminar course where you have a dedicated teacher and assigned counselors who are constantly in that space. Same thing with junior seminar, where they're constantly in that space to have on-hand support for your students. So students period 1 to period 5, even after school office hours, have access to us to get their college and career readiness goals accomplished. So all of that happens throughout, and that leads ultimately, hopefully, to your student having a decision after high school that they are really proud of and excited to enter after they cross our stage.
Delaney just talked about kind of that one-to-one counselor student experience that you receive in 11th and 12th grade. One of the things that honestly makes KIPP DC pretty unique, especially as in the high school space, is that we actually have a very robust alumni program as well. And so the KIPP Forward program matches students as soon as they graduate high school with a KIPP Forward advisor, who is someone who is also a specialist in college and career spaces, who then helps that student, now an alum, navigate up to 6 years after their high school graduation. So what that team is doing is reaching out to our students who are now alumni on a monthly basis, saying, are you enrolled in school? Do you need help with your financial aid for school this year? What are your grades looking like? Do you need help accessing emergency supports? Do we need to apply for scholarships this upcoming year? Are you trying to get a job? We can match you with a career coach. And likewise, if you are a student who's graduating and is wanting to pursue a career credential program, you want to be a welder, you want to be a cosmetologist, we also have advisors who are supporting students with those pathways as well, to make sure that they are both getting the education that they need for those programs and then the job placements. There's a lot of things that the KIPP Forward team does for alumni, including having these access to ongoing mental health support programs, linking students up with internships. We have, KIPP is a national program, and in 2025, we're going to have 82,000 alumni nationally who've graduated from KIPP. And so as we've grown, our alum are also in these positions of leadership across city spaces. We're having them come back. We just launched a National Alumni Council action that we're asking for alumni to come back and kind of give input into the future of college and career at KIPP programs. And so we're just really excited about this work. I do think it's something that makes KIPP DC particularly unique in the DC landscape. But I'm going to leave it there because I think we want to have time for your questions, which is the most important part. And I will turn it back over to Adam or to Thomas.
Yep, over to me. Hi, everybody. My name is Adam Rupp, and I work on our student recruitment team. Thank you, Amani, Delaney, and Julia, for walking us through how we think about supporting our great students in their college and career path. Before we dive into the Q&A, we had some folks join late, so I just want to do a quick round of introductions. I know we have people from both our high schools and families are looking at both Legacy and KCP. So Amani and Delaney and Julia, can you just do a quick introduction before we dive into some questions submitted in the chat?
Sure, we can do the same order. I am Julia Helmick. I am the managing director of our KIPP Forward program. In this role, I support and lead all of our college and career readiness programs, and then I directly support as well our alumni and post-secondary opportunities.
Hi, everyone. My name is Delaney Hennett. I am the Director of College and Career Counseling at KIPP DC College Prep. So I work with KCP, all 4 classes, including rising 8th graders.
Hi, everyone. I'm Imani Josie. I'm the Director of College and Career Counseling over at Legacy College Prep. And similar to Ms. Delaney, I do similar work and working with all of our students and making sure that they're prepared for their post-secondary plans and options.
Awesome. Thank you guys for those quick introductions. We had a couple questions submitted beforehand that I want to run through. And then I know we have a couple parents here that I want to make sure we let you guys come off mute so that you can ask your questions from our experts. I'm not sure which of you want to wants to take this question, but the first one we had submitted was, what do you sort of think, as we're weighing different high schools, sets KIPP DC's college and career counseling apart from, maybe some other high schools that these families are looking at?
I could jump in. I think from my experience and hearing from families that have students in multiple schools, including a student here in our space, is the support. I often heard that there's not a lot of support, whether it's a private school, public school, and we're very intentional about college counseling and career counseling and really thinking about your student as an individual and not just a number. Because of the sizes of our schools, we have very intentional one-on-one counseling that happens with our students, and it's really, I would say, like family oriented, right? So like we really want to get to know you, your student, and what is best for your student. So I think the one-on-one counseling and the intentionality of it is super important, and how we counsel with our students.
Awesome. Thank you. Julia or Amani, did you have anything else you wanted to add, or you want me to hop to the next question?
I would just echo, I think, what Amani said. Amani and Delaney are, our school-based leaders, and so they won't say it themselves, but I will say we have a very wonderful college and career counseling team at both of our high schools, and they really do kind of lean into that individual student focus. No matter how many students we have, we're having conversations about what this particular student and their family needs and wants, and kind of how do we get them from point A to point B. And I think that has been the secret sauce of just success for a long time. I would also just echo, I think, I mentioned it before, our alumni program and just the resources that we offer to students even after they've graduated high school is pretty unique. And just, I think that resource and connectivity, trying to connect students to external partnerships, et cetera, also sets us apart.
Awesome. Thanks, Julia. I would echo, both of them are sort of stars when I walk through their high schools. Every student knows who the heads of college and career counseling are. They're among the most popular people on campus. The next question we had submitted, and Delaney, maybe you can take this one. Can you think about a particular student and sort of like what has started to set them up for success? We have a lot of parents of 8th graders who are about to have a high schooler in their house. Like, what advice would you give to them about the things they should be doing and the mindsets that their young son or daughter should be developing to like be prepared for college and career? Like, what should they be focusing on in high school?
Yeah, I think some of the biggest things that sets our students apart, outside of academics, outside of extracurriculars, is their ability to communicate and advocate for themselves. I am thinking about a particular student, a current senior, who she worked really hard throughout high school, but that doesn't necessarily mean she got a 4.0. She actually doesn't have a 4.0. However, she has been working so hard and advocating for herself so much throughout this entire process that even though she doesn't have the most stellar GPA and might not be the top of the class, right? We have people, outside organizations, people directly over scholarship opportunities saying, if there's any student I'm going to bat for, it is them, because they have always been there. They've always communicated. They've worked so hard. So really building like that work ethic and that advocacy and that communication, because when people see like how much work your student is putting in and how dedicated they are to their own success, people are willing to go above and beyond. We always go above and beyond for our kids, but it's just great to see that advocacy, because that really sets you apart from a student who maybe just submits the application and that's it, versus like someone who goes the extra mile and wants to talk to the program director or advocate for themselves if they don't have the best GPA, but talks about all the qualities they do have that make them an excellent candidate. So I think something that really sets them apart, on top of course, you want to have rigorous courses in academics. You want to be involved and well-rounded. Really getting involved outside of school, I think, is extremely important, but also don't want to dim the light on people who maybe, again, you're not at the top, but you really are fighting for what you believe in and fighting for yourself. And that really does set you apart in the college and career process from what I've seen over the years being in this field.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Delaney. Amani, any other tips for the parents on how to push their soon-to-be high school students to be prepared for this process?
I'll echo everything Ms. Delaney said. Definitely about making encourage our students to like find their voice and advocate for themselves is super, super important. I think for parents, we also need you to advocate for your student and also like show up for them as well too in this space. The college process and the career process and thinking about post-secondary pathways is super daunting to think about, especially when it comes to like costs and all the choices there are. So the more that you also engage and that you plus the college team and the college counselor are aligned on the same things, it helps us only better support your student as well too. So we send out tons of emails and newsletters and all of these different things. And like Delaney said as well, like we have family meetings and all of these different things. So the more you also show up, the better for us to even help your student, help your family as well too.
Awesome. Thank you, Amani, for that. I fully agree. And you know, you mentioned there, and this is the last question before we're going to open it up and have folks come off mute. You mentioned there, college is expensive. How does the College and Career Counseling offices and KIPP Forward think about supporting families, plan for the expense that college and career training programs are?
You want me to start? I can start.
Anybody can jump in.
I'm helping some seniors today with their financial aid packages.
Yes. So I think with this, when it comes to the money, right? The money is always going to be a big fear factor. And I think it goes back to everything that we've been echoing throughout this presentation. Is just about how much your student is involved, right? So like the lady was just saying, if you have a student who has a 4.0 but hasn't done any extracurricular activities, scholarships may be limited for that student, right? And if a student is not advocating for themselves, it may also be limited. So when we think about scholarships and grants, they're getting more and more competitive. So yes, you want to have that academic rigor, but you also want to be involved as well too. I have some great students, and if they do not have that 4.0 GPA, but they've been involved in every single thing, we have noticed in our work, and I think Delaney and Julia could also echo this, a student who has like a 3.2 GPA, but is involved in SGA, is volunteering in their community, is an athlete per se, even if they're not an athlete and they're involved like in the musical, that student stands out in a different way. So we want to just make sure our students are, yes, you have the academic rigor, but you're also getting involved. Like, what do you do in your free time? And can you speak to that? Can you advocate for yourself? That's where a lot of the scholarship money comes into play. Another big thing, families, and this is like very daunting, is also FAFSA. We support you guys with the financial aid process. FAFSA does not equal loans. It actually gives your student access to scholarships and grants as well too, which is the free money, which we love. And so parents, we also ask you guys to be diligent in like filing your taxes and having all your documentation, all those things prepared to also support your student. And when your child gets to junior year and we have those family meetings, we go over all of these things with you so you could also support your student with the financial aid process as well. So does it feel as daunting?
Awesome.
Yeah, I think I would just pop in there as well and just say, you know, Amani speaking to the importance of just starting early. Like, we really want to work with families when you're in 9th grade about starting your high school experience strong so you can maximize what the scholarship opportunities, grant opportunities are that are out there. And then the other part that we do here is like, we're thinking about when we look at college options, when we're helping you choose what is going to be a strong financial fit, not just for the first year, but when you think about, can you sustain something over the course of the years to get your degree? How is that fitting into your financial plans as a family? What kind of supports can we help you resource? And then we know the cost of college is really high. I would probably venture to say all three of us, because I've known like we have our own student loans and things like that we've navigated over time. And I don't want to ever sell to people that like loans are not an often, you know, part of the college experience. But I do think that we work really strategically with families on the front end to say, like, what are your priorities about how you're paying for school? What do you feel is something that you can handle there? And then what are the ways we can resource and help you navigate that? There are also some resources that KIPP as a nationally and then also as a region, we worked hard to kind of tap in terms of supporting students with like micro grant amounts of funding and other emergency resources as necessary, because we want to make sure that not only do you start, but can you finish strong too with whatever that career credentialing program or that college experience is that you've started.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Julia. Well, I think those are the questions that were submitted in advance. If any of the parents that are online have questions, you should be able to unclick that mute button on the microphone, and we'd love to hear your questions. Julia, Imani, and Delaney are excited to to answer your questions about supporting college and career and what KIPP's high schools look like there. Or feel free to drop them in the chat if you prefer.
Hi, my name is Kim Smith. I just had one question is, does Legacy have a 12th grade? Do y'all have seniors yet? 'Cause I know it's fairly new.
Yep, we do have a senior class. We're very small, but this is going to be our second senior class graduating under Legacy. But we were Somerset before, and we've had seniors. Yes, our senior class this year is at 56. So we are small, but we're growing. But yes, we do have a senior class.
Awesome. Thanks, Ms. Smith, for the question. Any other questions for our college and career counseling team?
Yes, I have a question. This is Ashante Yusuf. And I currently have a 10th grader who is doing the dual enrollment. And I have another 8th grader, rising 9th grader soon, and she'll be on the same track doing dual enrollment. The challenge here is that both of them are involved with athletics. And I do agree with Amani and Delani about being well-rounded, but it's challenging that to have extracurricular activities like sports and having practice times, and then also college courses that offering at the same time. So that was one of my challenges. And I am a strong believer where education is first, but it's not alone. It's not a standalone thing to have. It's just education. I believe in sports and community involvement, all that. So how can we balance or resolve some of the issues with being there, available, and attending class, but also being part of a team, a sports team?
Such a good point, Ms. Yusuf. I'm going to hop in here if that's okay, and then you guys kind of share as well. And I wonder, Ms. Yusuf, if your 10th grader is supported by Ms. Johnson, who's on the KIPP forward team as well, or you connect with her about the dual enrollment programs. I think this is a challenge, honestly, that is citywide. I think just the way that dual enrollment runs in DC, and then also with sports. But I will say one thing that we're piloting this year, and I think will probably expand in future years, is some dual enrollment course offerings that are actually within the school setting, and within the context of the school day. So we have students who are able to earn college credits during their regular schedule for classes, and then could also subsequently do sports after school, right? So there's some pieces of this that if you want to go on campus, to another school location, or you're taking courses at Trinity with us, et cetera, we're limited in some of those capacities about how much we can change the time of that course. But what we are kind of leaning into is actually, how can we bring more college coursework to our students over time? And so we're bringing a lot more college courses in-house. Students can earn those credits just within the context of their regular school day. And then they also are able to be those well-rounded individuals doing sports as well. So I hope that's helpful.
Hi, Ms. Yusuf.
Yes, that is very helpful. Thank you.
I think the other piece of that is to add on, goes back to the advocacy piece that Delaney was talking about. And if a student, we always go, like we said, education first, student athlete is what I always tell students, student SGA person, your student government association. So I always tell students, if there is a reason why you cannot attend practice, or you can, a lot of times our coaches are also teachers or admin or administrators in the school building. If you tell them hey, I cannot come to practice because I have a class, a lot of times teachers who are coaches will be no problem, it's okay. And vice versa, if they need to be excused from a course for a day or something like that, that could also be a big way for students to also show advocacy, which also goes into a good letter of recommendation for a student as well too.
Yes, I agree, because communication is key. I know Tibet specifically, when she was on the volleyball team, she was heavily communicating with her professor. And even though they really are, they drive attendance and participation in class, she was definitely participating with and letting him know, okay, I have a game. I don't want you to think that we're slighting her education, but she's also, excited to be a part of a team who needs her to be there too. So, but it kind of makes you feel, are they really think the student is serious about missing class to attend sports? So I don't want to have that in it. Even though she did well, it's still a conflict.
Absolutely. Miss Josie or Miss Delaney, do you mind just quickly reminding families what dual enrollment is too? I don't think we covered that in the call. I know some families might not be familiar with dual enrollment. I'm excited, Miss Yusuf, your family's already taking advantage of it. But can somebody remind the other families what that program is?
Yeah, so dual enrollment is a program where students can take classes, college classes, usually right now on college campuses. We have a lot of different programs or organizations that we work with locally here in DC. So we have some students who attend classes at UDC, some students who attend classes at Trinity Washington University. But we also have other programs where our students can take college classes virtually, but they're attending attending classes at other universities that are not as close or local. So we have some students who are taking classes at UPenn, University of Pennsylvania, and other places as well. So these students will apply. They work with Ms. Blair Johnson, who works with Ms. Helmick in KIPP Forward, work with Ms. Blair Johnson to turn in that application. There is an application process. We have turn in application, get a teacher recommendation, a counselor recommendation, where we speak about your strengths and why you'd be a great fit for the program, and go through that in order for you to enroll in actual college classes where you can earn college credit to go towards your degrees if that's the route you decide to go moving forward. So we have a lot of different options, and students can start, like Ms. Yusa said, as early as like 10th grade, moving up, and they can continue taking those dual enrollment classes either during the semester, if they can fit it into their schedule towards the end, or even sometimes in the summertime. So there are a lot of different opportunities for our students to get even more rigorous and advanced coursework on the college level, even early on.
Awesome. Thank you, Delaney. And my favorite part about it is it's free for KIPP students while they're enrolled at one of our high schools. Free college credits is always something my parents were pushing me to get many years ago. Awesome. Thank you, Delaney. Any other questions from parents about our college and career approach at Legacy College Prep and KIPP DC College Prep? Feel free to come off mute.
Just a question for the dual enrollment. Is there, like, what grade level can that start at? I'm assuming like that wouldn't be 9th grade because they're just getting started.
Yeah, that's a really good question. To date, we haven't had 9th graders who participate in the program. We actually are thinking about ways to even dial the program back and expand further. Mostly we typically have 10th through 12th graders take part, and that's really because we want to make sure that students are really set in 9th grade with their academics, that they're off to a strong start, that they can really focus in on their core classes, and that we've kind of helped them with the rigor of being a high school student first. But then beyond that, we definitely have different pathways and different types of college coursework students can take. And some students start as early as 10th grade or the summer into their junior year for those college courses.
Thanks, Julia.
I actually have one question. I'm sorry. This is Ms. Gross. I wanted to know, is there a particular grade point average that they have to be at as well for the college courses? I wanted to know that so that I can make sure, my son is on the right path.
Of course.
The words right out of my mouth. So you have to have a 2.5 cumulative GPA. And when we say cumulative, students are often like, what does that mean? So cumulative is like your overall GPA. So every quarter and the summary of that GPA. So that follows them all the way through. So students who end their 9th grade year with a 2.5 cumulative or higher are eligible for dual enrollment. I know Delaney and I always talk to kids like 2.5 is good. Let's try to make it a little bit better. And if we gave you a 3.0 or higher, because it just really shows our kids are truly prepared, but also they can like manage their time and expectations with a college course plus their high school course as well too. So we've noticed students with a slightly higher GPA usually are more successful in the course. Not saying that a student with 2.5 cannot be successful. We want them to like really focus on their high school curriculum before adding on that college curriculum.
And if you're thinking about like getting that start strong, like we really think in the college and career world that 3.5 and above is some magic numbers because it enables you to apply test optional to colleges. It means that if you're applying a summer program that KIPP DC can't take on in terms of the cost, that you're eligible for scholarship dollars. You're just taken a lot more seriously in your college application world. And so 2.5 is where we started because we want more students to have access, but set yourself apart in 9th grade with that 3.5 or above.
Great advice.
Another question adding on to that, I listened into the honors program presentation yesterday. So like, what's the connection? Is there like a connection with that versus like dual enrollment? Because I know like the honors program, there's AP classes that can be taken.
I think this comes to like leveraging student choice. So I think like honors is usually offered to like 9th and 10th graders, and APs don't start until like you hit junior, senior year. But this is when we have students like leverage their choices, right? So like if you look at the dual enrollment courses and the AP courses, what are you interested in, right? And so I think with that, students then get to make a choice of, do I want to take the AP, or do I have the time after school to do the dual enrollment course and do that instead, or do both? I think Delaney could speak a little bit more to it. I know KCP has been doing honors a little bit longer than we have, so you want to butt in as well too.
Yeah, I just agree with what Amani said. It's about leveraging like student choice and thinking about well, ultimately, like, where do you want to like pour in your time? I know we're talking about like all of these different, options and all of the different things of like being well-rounded, and all of that is definitely valid and true. But sometimes it's like, okay, quality over quantity, right? So if you really want to pour into like that dual enrollment and really get invested there, then that's wonderful. If you want to really pour into like your AP classes, that's wonderful. Both of them, AP, dual enrollment, or both, set your student apart and shows that your student is going for academic rigor. And so in terms of the honors program, they do have like a certain track that they go on, and they are enrolled in certain AP classes. So that automatically those honors students are in honors classes, which is like a level above, a little bit more rigorous, and then AP classes as well, as they're going through their time in high school. So yeah, it just depends on student choice, whether you want to pour into APs, pour into dual enrollment, or both. You won't go wrong, no matter which way you choose. So honors has that AP pipeline, and students, even if you're not in the honors program, can still take AP classes. We don't limit the number of AP classes unless it's like a scheduling thing, but we don't like limit saying like, oh, you've already taken 3 APs, you can't take any more. We don't do that. Making sure you're taking advantage of that. But yeah, it's like more of like a pipeline. If you're not in honors, you can still take AP courses, of course, and then dual enrollment is an option for students who meet the minimum requirements.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other last questions before we wrap up tonight? Awesome. We'll hang on just a second after this with some general reminders. First off, thank you for being here. You have a lot of choices in high school, and we're really excited for your interest in Legacy and KCP. There's a lot of great things going on with our Panthers and Bulldogs, so we're excited about that. You've probably heard us say this a million times because you get a lot of emails and text messages from us. The deadline to apply for high schools is next Wednesday, February 1st. If you are a student at KIPP, at Key or Valor Academy, please make sure you're filling out your application. Will and Northeast families, remember, you don't need to worry about that if you want to go to KCP. And Honor and AIM families, remember, you don't need to worry about My School DC Lottery if you want to go to Legacy. If your child is interested in applying for the honors program, that deadline is February 10th. And then if you have any questions, hang out on the line and I'll be happy to answer them, or email us at enroll@kippdc.org. Thank you to Delaney, Amani, and Julia for making some time tonight to talk to our families. We're really glad you're here. And thank you for this great advice to set these families up for a great high school career. So with that, we'll wrap up tonight, and I'll hang out if anybody has any questions. Otherwise, thank you. Have a great night, and have a wonderful Friday tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.